tonight. A shortage of Mounties in Saskatchewan is worrying some residents as the RCMP struggles to fill vacancies. The devastating fires in California have some wondering, could it happen here?
Coda, what are you doing?
And a Regina dog rescue hopes a long-term resident will find her forever home.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, January 27th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams in for Sam McCagg. Thanks for joining us. A Saskatoon court is hearing testimony from a key witness in a murder case. The woman was stabbed several times and left for dead on a road near Saskatchewan Heritage Park. Her friend, James Swift, was killed during the altercation, and 2 men are on trial for his murder. Jeremy Warren has more from court.
Virginia Belhumer told a Saskatoon court that she watched her friend James Swift die in her arms. She's a key witness for the Crown and testified Monday in Court of King's Bench. In 2022, Swift was stabbed to death during a fight at a rural road intersection. Belhumer testified she was also stabbed and left for dead in a ditch beside Swift. She told court she watched blood pour out of Swift's neck and his eyes roll back as he died. Colton Lishka and Ashton Ritzlin are on trial, charged with second-degree murder and attempted murder. Anthony Burley is charged with accessory to murder after the fact. The court heard that the 3 men met Swift and Belhumer outside a bar earlier that night. They hung out late into the night and then piled into a car to buy cocaine. A fight broke out while they were driving around. Belhumer says they stabbed Swift, then stabbed her when she tried to run away. Under cross-examination, the defense asked if she saw who actually stabbed Swift. She replied she did not, but that they were alone in the middle of nowhere, so one of them had to do it. Cross-examination is set to continue on Tuesday. Jeremy Warren, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The RCMP is looking within to help temporarily fill staffing shortages across the province. The Mounties are struggling with vacancies in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. And as Josh Crabb reports, they are trying to recruit from other parts of the country.
The southern Manitoba city of Portage-La Prairie and surrounding area is policed by the RCMP. Vacancies are creating challenges for the police force here and elsewhere in the province, and that has Helena Cott worried.
That's a concern, that there might not be an officer available if you need one.
Portage-La Prairie has a contract with the Mounties for 27 officers, but the city's mayor, Sherilyn Knox, says on average there are only 22 working.
There's been a shortage for quite some time. We've really seen that happen, especially since the pandemic, that there's been a change.
The RCMP says it has a province-wide vacancy rate of 15%. The Mounties are looking for officers from other parts of the country to come work not only here in places like Portage, but right across Manitoba and Saskatchewan too. The commanding officer of the Manitoba RCMP says a memo went out last week looking for temporary reinforcements. Assistant Commissioner Scott McMurchie says the Mounties have already been trying to fill vacancies internally with officers from units and detachments with more resources.
The purpose of this additional ask from outside of the division is basically just to augment what we're already doing.
McMurchie says a preferred posting agreement allowing cadets to pick the provinces where they want to work has had an impact on staffing in smaller divisions like Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Manitoba Justice Minister Matt Wiebe wants to see the federal government do more.
Within remote and northern communities especially, we're seeing a real lack of public safety because of the vacancy rate created by Ottawa's lack of investment. So we're really asking them to step up to ensure that we have the number of officers here.
Portage's mayor sees the RCMP's efforts to recruit from within as a positive step, one she hopes will help with the vacancies in her city. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Portage-La Prairie.
The provincial NDP is asking the government to call an emergency session of the legislature to figure out how to deal with U.S. President Donald Trump's incoming tariffs. They could have a devastating impact on Saskatchewan industries, from farming to mining and small businesses. Trump says the tariffs on all Canadian imports to the U.S. could come down as early as February 1st. NDP opposition leader Carla Beck says if that happens, the government needs to get back to work immediately. Beck says the opposition is ready to return to the legislature as early as next week. Beck says targeting U.S. states directly is one option to respond to the tariffs.
We've pointed to ad campaigns in Dubai previously, for example. This is about taking ads to, for example, subways in Chicago. Illinois happens to be the state that exports the most product to Saskatchewan. Taking this directly to those consumers in the U.S., being targeted, being thoughtful about those states that are going to have the most influence with this administration.
Beck says an all-hands-on-deck approach is needed in the legislature. She says MLAs only need a 2-day heads-up to hold an emergency session. Regina's Public School Division is sticking with its change room policy. The policy was put in place last year. It lets students choose which bathroom and change rooms to use based on their gender identity. School divisions learned last week they had until the end of June to come up with their own change room policies. The head of Regina Public Schools says the division spoke with teachers, students, and parents to develop the policy last year. And he says the students' comfort, safety, and privacy was the top priority.
Well, quiet. I think this is an administrative process that was done with people, not to people. And whenever a division does that, and it's sort of one of our guiding ways of doing business, you come up with effective administrative procedures. Really, I've been aware of one incident, maybe two now, involving change rooms. But when you think about 27,000 kids, 57 schools, 3,500 staff, we haven't heard much.
Harmon says several divisions have already reached out for advice on developing their own change room policy. The Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization at the University of Saskatchewan is getting $24 million to help prepare for another possible pandemic. The money is being given to Veto by the Norwegian-based Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness. The lab's goal is to develop a wide-ranging coronavirus vaccine. That means existing coronavirus strains, like those found during the pandemic, and future ones we have not yet encountered. It's also anticipated to be heat stable, meaning it won't need to be temperature controlled.
This is exactly what Veto is all about. This is why we're here. We're protecting Canadians from the next infectious disease, the next pandemic, right? It's all about predicting what is coming in the future and being ready for it. And as we just learned during the pandemic, Canada was not quite ready for it this time. So let's make sure that next time we're better prepared.
The money is expected to go toward all aspects of vaccine development. That includes lab and animal testing, as well as manufacturing. The devastating California wildfires are on a lot of people's minds these days. So just how vulnerable are Saskatchewan cities to wildfires? Liam O'Connor took a closer look at whether a similar situation could happen here.
In the province's south, the cities of Regina and Saskatoon are mostly surrounded by farm and grassland. Further north, Prince Albert sits on the edge of the forest fringe. The Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency says typically northern communities have more serious fire threats, but all municipalities have their own risks.
Prince Albert is a forested community, so they need to put extra effort into their prevention and their planning for that sort of risk. Similar to any city that has a river or next to an ocean has to plan for flood risk.
But even though they are situated far from the boreal forest, Saskatoon and Regina aren't immune to wildfires. Last August, the Corman Park grass fire destroyed $3 million of property and covered 300 hectares of land off the outskirts of Saskatoon.
Under the right conditions, yes, this can happen to us as well. And unfortunately, the right conditions are coming.
Pomeroy says by the end of this century, the Saskatchewan region will see average temperatures about 7 degrees higher than 1800s levels. That, along with increased drought, will create greater risk of wildfire for urban and suburban areas. Another expert says Saskatoon and Regina are better protected than northern cities. He also notes unique conditions around the latest California fires.
California is special, I think, because, it really hasn't had any measurable rain since last April 2024. So when you have that long extended dry period, you suddenly make everything is bone dry and anything could go up.
The risk of wildfires spreading to Regina homes, at least anytime soon, is considered low. And the best way to prevent them is through education.
Fires that we see will come from things like train sparks from trains, properly discarded smoking materials. So we try to make sure we educate the public appropriately.
Saskatoon's fire department also shares similar sentiments, but if anything does get severe enough, the SPSA says it can swoop in to help. Liam O'Connor, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Well, a gorgeous weekend for many of us across the province, and that trend has continued into the start of the work week. The snow even looks to be melting a little, but not everyone is basking in the sun. I'll have the details on some snowy and windy weather in the forecast after the break. Welcome back. Hundreds of Rogers customers say they're facing uneven pricing. They're frustrated by what they see as unexpected hikes in their monthly bills. And some say even trying to dispute the charges shows unequal treatment. Erica Johnson has this Go Public investigation.
Okay, I'll have to phone them about that.
When Sharon Vincent saw a price hike on her Rogers bill just a month after signing a 2-year contract,
with Rogers Xfinity,
she called the telco provider to dispute the extra $21 in charges.
I wasn't able to get anything.
As Go Public has reported, last fall, Rogers raised the price of TV box rentals, allowed to hike prices thanks to a contract clause Vincent says wasn't explained.
I don't understand why they would do that. It's a money grab.
We heard from hundreds of angry Rogers customers who felt misled over the price hike. Now there's new grounds for outrage. Some got their bills lowered when they called to complain, but others, no luck.
I just think it's disgusting. You treat all your customers the same way if you want a good, successful business without a lot of complaints.
This MP says he's hearing complaints too from constituents, people who just don't have the time to do battle with Rogers.
It can be used against you as a consumer because you don't get the same benefits that other people that have those skill sets or have that experience or have that time will get.
Frustrating, he says, because big telcos like Rogers have received hundreds of millions from government over the past decade.
So we're being abused by our own product.
Even before the price hike, Rogers customers were fed up with their bills. A recent report from the telco mediator shows that complaints about billing issues jumped over the past year, up 103%. A spokesperson for Rogers wouldn't comment on why some customers get a break and others don't, but said the company works with customers to meet their needs and budget. After we contacted Rogers about Sharon Vincent's case, she called her telecom provider again. Says this time a customer service rep could miraculously knock $18 off her bill. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
A group of creative people faced off in an unusual competition over the weekend. They were scrambling to build a brand new video game from the ground up. Helena Mahalik checked in to see how they did.
90 people spent their weekend glued to screens, taking on the challenge of creating video games from scratch at a game jam competition in Saskatoon.
The goal is to get more people making games, video games especially. There's not many in Saskatchewan, but we're trying to change that. And this is a great educational opportunity. Try it out, and maybe hopefully one day they can make this a career and get paid to do it.
Gamers had to center their creation around a central theme. This year it was bubbles. Designers could take that either literally or figuratively, like one gamer's concept to center a game around the stock market bubble.
The year's 2000, and it's the dot-com bubble. And all the stockbrokers are trying to make it to the market, and you play as a group of corporate fat cats, and you need to stop all the stockbrokers from making it to market before they crash the price of your stock.
Most games were designed in groups of up to 9 people, but Matt Weeks, who has been competing for almost a decade, challenged himself to make a game all by himself.
At a certain point, I need to challenge myself a little bit more, and that's why I like doing it alone. And just, I like the creative freedom as well.
One group steered away from the virtual world, creating their own board game in just 2 days. Organizer Michael Long says a fast-paced 48-hour challenge helps people practice the basics of game design.
You just have to keep it very simple, very small, because that deadline's coming up fast. You don't have time for the extras.
Long says the Game Jam brought in a good mix of students and programmers who could learn from each other. All of the games from the event will be uploaded online for people to play. The next Game Jam will be held in September. Helena Mahalik, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A dog at a Regina rescue has been waiting almost 2 years for a forever home. Coda is a border collie mix with unique eyes, one blue and one brown. Her foster mom is also the co-founder of CC Rescues.
Coda, what are you doing? She's very smart. She knows how to sit. She knows how to shake. She knows how to stay calm. She's just would be such a good best friend dog that would follow you everywhere. Just you one-on-one. She's so perfect for that. And unfortunately, I don't live that life. Otherwise, I would 100% just keep her. But I have such a constant flow of dogs through the house, just fostering and stuff. And I think that stresses her out a little bit. And that's when she acts out. She's almost like a child. But consistency is key with her for sure. If she's with the same dogs, she'll figure it out and she will respect them. So she's literally ready to go. She's ready for her home.
What a good girl. If you're interested in Coda, CC Rescues will let you do a 3-day trial or longer to ensure she is a good match. Well, I think we can all agree that we've been enjoying the nice warmer temperatures over these last few days here and through the weekend. Although for some other parts of our province, we are seeing some snow, we are seeing some colder temperatures, and with those warmer conditions, yes, also comes some wind as well. We'll take a look at just how strong those winds have been gusting through Monday. Some in excess of 60 kilometers an hour in western parts of the province and beginning to pick up as we head Monday into Tuesday in eastern sections. Now, the reason that it's been so breezy is because we've got this low pressure system kind of up through northern Saskatchewan. And not only is that making it breezy, but the cold front that's attached to that, you can see creating a real divide in temperatures down below -10 for daytime highs Monday in some parts of the north. That system also bringing through some snow to the north, snowfall warning level snowfall there, and bringing some cloud cover into south and central. So the system plays out like this. I think it'll be pretty fast moving. It'll be moving, as we head overnight into Tuesday, mostly through northern Saskatchewan, but a portion of east central maybe getting some snowfall as we head into Tuesday afternoon. For most of the rest of us, I think we'll be seeing kind of a sun cloud mix for Tuesday. Then we are watching our next weather maker, which is moving in for Wednesday, and that'll be mostly affecting the Churchill region and into the northern grain belt of the province. Again, we'll see some sunshine, though, I think, through southern and most central regions as we get into Thursday, and then high pressure going to start to clear things out after that. So possibly 10 to 15 centimeters in especially far northern and northeastern parts of the province as we get this first system moving through, and then the additional snowfall moving through Thursday, going to bring a few centimeters, again, maybe upwards of 5 or 6 centimeters to the Churchill region and portions of east central Saskatchewan. It'll continue to be windy. Overnight Tuesday, look for gusts 60 to 70 kilometers an hour and maybe even over 70 as we head into Tuesday afternoon, especially through southern parts of the province, including in Regina. And then things calming down a bit as we head into Wednesday. Our jet stream pattern, though, going to begin to break down for northern Saskatchewan. So we're going to see some colder air seeping in later in the week, while south and central remain fairly mild. And that turns out to be something like this for Regina. Temperatures in the minus single digits, albeit with some breezes here and there. Then a much more significant cool down as we start next week. That's the same for Saskatoon, down into the minus 20s with minus 30 wind chills early next week. But in the meantime, we are still looking for some nice conditions, and those overnight lows over the next couple of days not even dropping below minus 10.
Yeah, good voice here now.
Well, from dogs to anteaters. This anteater is one of the many interesting animals that were in Regina over the weekend at Real District. All these critters are part of the Wildlife Festival. People had a chance to get up close and personal with a sloth, some kangaroos, a porcupine, a few slithering reptiles. A little something for everyone. Stay with us. We're back after the break. A city in the Democratic Republic of Congo is the scene of intense fighting between government troops and rebels. The rebels are reportedly patrolling the main streets of Goma in the eastern part of the country. These are scenes from the border post between Goma and neighboring Rwanda. Hundreds of displaced people are fleeing. In the past 4 years, the rebels have taken control of large parts of Congo. The Congolese government has accused Rwanda of sending its troops over the border to support the rebels. Rwanda, in turn, has accused Congolese authorities of supporting militias trying to topple the Rwandan government. People gathered in Poland to mark the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. The Nazis murdered more than 1 million people at the concentration camp during the Second World War.
Go towards this huge majority, those millions of victims who will never tell us what they experienced.
Turkey condemned the dramatic rise in anti-Semitism around the world. Justin Trudeau attended the ceremony. 6 million Jews were murdered by the Nazi regime across Europe. Well, temperatures tonight going to be fairly mild through south and central as we head into Tuesday, freezing to -5 for a lot of us, but the wind begins to pick up as the skies clear. For northern Saskatchewan, of course, the focus is the heavy snowfall in northeastern sections, 10 to 15 centimeters as we head into Tuesday morning. By that point, the snow is mostly shifted into the Churchill region, where a few centimeters could be picked up in eastern sections there, including Pelican Narrows and Cumberland House. But temperatures will stay fairly mild. Of course, you see along western sections of the Churchill region could even get above the freezing mark. Definitely getting above freezing in south and central as we head into Tuesday, around the freezing mark for many of us. Bit of that snow into east central sections for Tuesday. Not a whole lot expected, but it will continue to be quite gusty with winds between 60 and 70 kilometers an hour as we head into the afternoon. But most of us seeing partly to mostly sunny skies as we head throughout the day. And that is it for us. For news anytime, you can always head to cbc.ca/Sask or subscribe to our CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. You can also download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching.